Hello and welcome back to another Giant Slayer TFT Top 10 video. Today we'll be going over the top 10 Radiant items for patch 11.16. Radiant items as a mechanic are doing much better than Shadow items as they are powerful one-time choices that give players a sense of agency in the game. Of course, there is randomness to Radiant items as you're only given the option of 5 each game, but there's almost never a situation where you get one that you can't use. Let's go ahead and get started. But before we begin, please don't forget to click the links in our description. Give your support to everyone who helped make this video happen. We host many TFT tournaments with plenty of exciting content to come, so be sure to also follow our Giant Slayer TFT social media pages. Alright, let's get back to the video. To start off our top 10, we have the Zephyr Radiant item coming in at number 10, Mistral. There's a lot of really good utility Radiant items to choose from. Quite a few of them will be covered further down the list, but we wanted to kick off the top 10 with an item that is a bit underused, Mistral. Mistral has two parts to what it does. First, it extends the Zephyr duration from 5 seconds to 10. Yes, 10. It's an absurdly long time for one unit to be taken out of combat, especially when it's on an important champion like a carry or a frontline CC unit like Rel. The second part is a team-wide 20% attack speed buff at the beginning of combat. 20% to every champion on your board is quite a lot, and this is in theme with team-wide buffs we'll continue exploring in this list. The main downside for Mistral is similar to Zephyr. It's a powerful utility item, but oftentimes there's better choices for your board. Especially since you have to make the choice on 3-6, which is relatively early into the game state, as most players haven't even put together a cohesive board at this point. If the Radiant item choice were on, say, 4-6 instead of 3-6, it's much more likely we'd see players choose an item like Mistral. But it's still a really solid item if you decide to pick it up. Having the option to eliminate an enemy champion for 10 seconds is hugely impactful, keeping in mind that it also can't be blocked by CC immunity. While Mistral isn't an item we suggest taking over better options, we at least want players to keep it in mind when it appears on 3-6. Let's continue on to the number 9 Radiant item, Luminous Deathblade. As the name suggests, this is the Radiant version of Deathblade. Keep in mind that when choosing your Radiant item, it can lock you into a certain playstyle. Luminous Deathblade is the perfect example of this, as picking it up likely means that you're playing an AD comp. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if your game plan was to play flexibly, you may want to consider a utility item instead. But for anyone that is playing an AD composition, Radiant Deathblade is an amazing item to have. It's basically a beefed up version of Deathblade as it increases the stacks per takedown from 10 to 15. Like a regular Deathblade, it also starts at 4 stacks. That's why this item is so good for AD champions. Starting with 60 increased attack damage is a lot and is 20 more than the regular Deathblade. For champions that scale well with AD like Aphelios, Lucian, or Nocturne, starting with such a high amount of attack damage is going to impact the fight heavily. And of course, as the fight goes on, the higher the stacks go. Pair it with items like Runaan's Hurricane or Infinity Edge, and you're essentially doubling the amount of damage it provides. The main reason we have it only at 9th on the list is that this is a situational item. Not uncommon for players to already have slammed regular Deathblade by the time 3-6 rolls around. Plus, it does lock you into playing at least some type of AD board. But if you're going into round 3-6 and have items that complement Luminous Deathblade, it's an easy choice. Moving on, we have another AD-focused item that comes in at number 8, Eternal Whisper. Eternal Whisper is the better, more awesome brother to Last Whisper. Baseline, not much changes. Both items reduce the target's armor by 70% when inflicted by a critical hit. But Eternal Whisper takes that one step further by making it last the rest of combat and provides a 35% increased critical strike chance. Not only does it make it more likely for the champion to crit, the uptime will last the whole round. Now you may be saying you can get the same outcome just by pairing regular Last Whisper with an Infinity Edge. That's true, but Eternal Whisper is basically those two items in one. Of course, it's much less potent than an Infinity Edge, but it provides enough critical strike chance on top of the base that your champion will be critically hitting on most of its attacks. And all it takes is one crit to reduce the enemy's armor for the rest of combat. So having a 100% crit rate isn't all that necessary. Overall, Eternal Whisper is an ideal utility AD item you will want on any physical damage carry besides Akshan. It provides armor reduction and crit chance, meaning you have 2 more slots to add in whatever you need for your carry. And a meta with heavily armored front lines, especially because of Ironclad, Eternal Whisper provides a ton of value. Next up, we have Runaan's Tempest coming in as the number 7 Radiant item. Runaan's Tempest, the Radiant version of Runaan's Hurricane, takes the baseline idea of Hurricane, but goes absolutely crazy with it. The extra bolt it fires per attack goes from 75% to an insane 110%. So you're gaining more than an extra auto attack each time your champion auto attacks with Tempest. Since it can still crit and apply on hit, it's not uncommon to see the target being hit by Tempest Bolt get killed before the main target of the champion. Now, if Luminous Tempest was only that one thing, it would still be good, but likely not on our list. But it has another bonus, which is an increase of 30% attack speed for the item holder. This means you're not only attacking a second unit with 110% attack damage, but also gaining 30% attack speed, meaning the item holder will attack even more. In general, Luminous Tempest is one of the best utility auto attack items you can have. It's just such an absurd increase in damage output, especially when paired with other AD items. If you haven't tried it yet, we highly recommend you do, especially on champions like Riven, Nocturne, or Akshan. Coming in at number 6, we have our first AP Radiant item, Earth Angel Staff. In general, there's not too many amazing AP Radiant items. Most of them are just okay. Radiant Death Cap, for example, does provide a lot of bonus ability power, but not much else. Blue Blessing is unfortunately rather niche, and Hextech Lifeblade can be quite good, but it's hard to commit as early as 3-6. Earth Angels, on the other hand, is an improvement over the existing Archangel Staff, making it best in slot item for AP champions. Specifically Heimerdinger, though it's still good on Zyra, Teemo, or Vel'Koz. The reason is that Archangel Staff is already a top tier AP item and one you definitely want for late game AP champions. Earth Angel is just an all-around better version of the same item, not only because it increases the AP gain per spell cast, but also because the champion begins combat with 15 more mana. That may not sound like a lot, but trust us, it is. That's almost 2 auto attacks worth of mana gained, meaning high mana champions like Heimerdinger are one step closer to casting and getting the AP increase for their next cast. We will admit you can get by with a regular Archangel just fine, but if you have any inclination to play for an AP composition and haven't already made an Archangel, then we highly recommend grabbing the Radiant version. In the middle of the pack, we have one of the best defensive Radiant items coming in at number 5, Warmogs Pride. Warmogs is one of the best defensive regular items that you can have, particularly in the early game. It scales well enough, but the impact it has on the game is primarily during stages 2 and 3. Warmogs Pride takes that one step further, as it's a bonus of 1800 health to the item holder, while regular Warmogs is only 1000. On top of that, the champion will also regenerate 1% max health per second. This may not sound like a lot, but having passive health regen is fantastic when considering you've already increased their base health by nearly 2k. Even without the regeneration, that much of a health increase is crazy good for frontliners. Rel with Warmogs Pride is for sure casting her ability, same with other high impact frontliners like Volibear or Fiddlesticks. While Abomination was nerfed in 11.16, it's still playable in the current meta. Warmogs Pride is the perfect item not only for Nunu, who wants to have as much health as possible, but also for the monstrosity. That's just one example of where Warmogs Pride is good. In general, it's just an all-around solid defensive item for your frontline, regardless of what comp you're running. Up next, we have Blessed Bloodthirster coming in as the number 4 Radiant item. We've now reached the top 4, where most of these Radiant items have fairly overloaded kits. Blessed Bloodthirster starts that off by taking the existing item, Bloodthirster, and just absolutely running wild with it. First off, the physical damage healing goes from 33% to 60%, nearly doubling it. Second, the shield gain from dipping below 40% health is actually doubled, going from 30% max health as a shield to 60%. Just baseline, it's already a ridiculous increase compared to the regular version. But wait, there's more. On top of all that, it also provides 20 bonus attack damage. That's half of a regular Deathblade. When we said overloaded kits, this is what we meant. Not only does the champion gain way more healing, a better shield at low health, but also more attack damage. If you're playing an AD carry, you likely will want this item. The only reason not to take it is if you already have a Bloodthirster or already have multiple carry items and need utility or defense for your board. But if those issues aren't present, definitely take a Blessed Bloodthirster. Another Radiant item way better than its regular version is Fist of Fairness, which comes in at number 3. They did a really good job with the regular Hand of Justice. They took what was presented by the Shadow version and improved the existing design into something that is much easier to balance and is all around a solid item. Fist of Fairness comes in and just all around improves the design. It provides both 40 attack damage and ability power, as well as 40% Omnivamp. The stats are higher and you gain both at an increased value, whereas Hand of Justice is just one stat increased. Considering the regular version is already a good item, it makes sense to see Fist of Fairness picked up time and time again on 3.6. A large reason for that is the flexibility it provides. You can use it for AD or AP comps, and since a lot of players haven't decided on what they're playing on 3.6, having a flexible item is quite helpful. That flexibility mixed in with just being a better version of the baseline item is why Fist of Fairness is third on our list. Coming in at number 2, we have Shroud of Reverence. Remember when we mentioned overloaded kits? Yeah, Shroud of Reverence is exactly that. Regular Shroud is already quite good and is one of the better late game items to have thanks to its utility. Radiant Shroud is just an absolutely bonkers version of that item. It not only increased the effect from 35% to 50%, it also has a much wider area of its effects. On top of that, it provides 15 starting mana to your whole board. What? The whole board? So not only are you essentially shrouding most of the enemy's champions, you're also providing starting mana to all of your own champions. That's so much value for one item to provide. It's easily one of the best Radiant items, and the only reason it's not an instant pickup every time is due to maybe needing a different item for your board. But if it's in your Radiant shop on 3.6, we highly recommend taking it. And the number 1 Radiant item is Banshee Silence. Again, the theme here is overloaded kits. Where Shroud of Reverence is more about affecting the enemy board, Banshee Silence is all about buffing your board. Like, a lot. Okay, so first off, we want to say hats off to the dev team for replacing Trap Claw with Banshees. It's a much better item overall. That said, how is Banshee Silence a thing? It takes the existing concept of Banshee's Claw and extends it to the whole board. So now every champion has one spell block. Sure, you may say that doesn't make a big difference for your front line, but it does. Blocking even one spell means less damage or CC, making the enemy team's board weaker against yours. What if it blocks a Nunu Bite or a Volibear Stun? It does not matter if it's easily procced on your front line, blocking a spell is good. Now, if it was just that, we may not be gushing over the item. But on top of providing a team-wide spell block, it also gives 50 health to them. No, 50 health doesn't sound like a lot individually, but keep in mind it's your whole board. With 8 champions, that's increasing the effective health of your board by 400. Maybe that doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. Especially on top of every champion getting a spell block. That effective value of Banshee Silence is ridiculous. We highly recommend this item. Alright, that's all we have for you for today, folks. Radiant items are fantastic, and despite there being a difference in power level, the truth is any Radiant item can be the correct choice depending on the situation. Let us know in the comment section below which Radiant item is your favorite. Thank you for watching, and if you're enjoying our content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Future Giant Slayer TFT videos.